China wants to consume. The United States wants to build factories. What exactly are they competing for? The United States wants to build factories. China wants to consume. One is returning to the industrial era. The other is heading towards a service society. It seems like they are trying to differentiate from each other, but in reality, they are learning the best from each other. Two rivals are closely watching and imitating each other. The real competition is not about who resembles the other more, but about who can make their people live more securely and with dignity. The two major countries are engaged in a form of competition. China is committed to transitioning from a production-oriented society to a consumption-oriented one, emphasizing technology services and domestic demand, while the United States intends to break free from the reliance on consumerism, rebuild manufacturing, and promote industrial reshoring. One aims to decentralize as a consumer powerhouse, while the other seeks to re-centralize as the world's factory. Although they seem to be going in opposite directions, they are actually converging on the same goal, finding a more stable and sustainable institutional path that enhances the sense of gain for ordinary people. Essentially, this is a competition about institutional upgrading. At its core, this competition cannot avoid one question: can the vast majority of people truly benefit from economic development? Thomas Piketty calls this the question of the century: how to achieve a reasonable balance between capital efficiency and social equity, ensuring that the system does not become a tool for a small minority to exploit the majority. All three major global institutional systems have, without exception, experienced constitutional or governance crises. Democracy has not disappeared, but it is being eroded by the tyranny of the majority, emotional politics, and institutional rigidity. The death of Socrates, the collapse of the Weimar Republic, the mismatch between freedom and equality, these historical fragments are once again subtly resurfacing. Human society seems to have entered a dangerous period where algorithms can tame emotions, but cannot manage institutions. Why do nations fail? It points out that the rise and fall of nations are not determined by geography, culture, or resources, but by the inclusiveness and extractiveness of institutions. Can the institutions safeguard the interests of the majority? And can they effectively self-correct when facing a crisis? This is the core variable that determines the fate of great nations. This is also why many people appear optimistic on the surface. In fact, they are just forced to be optimistic because their jobs, career expectations, and business models are all built on an optimistic narrative. But what truly needs to be considered is that trends are changing. How do we respond to the turning points in history? Should the system be restarted? Perhaps history really needs founder-type figures like Elon Musk to break the entrenched systems and challenge bureaucracy, to drive a system-level creative destruction. This is not America's cultural revolution, but it could be another version of institutional restructuring. Even if it fails, it is destined to be a critical juncture in the history of civilization's evolution. We need rational depth and independent thinking more than ever. Being optimistic or pessimistic is not important. What matters is understanding the underlying logic of change and finding methodologies that can adapt to it. And all of this relies not on emotions, not on traffic, but on the depth of rational cognition, the breadth of visionary thinking, and the insight into the essence of institutions. This is the true superpower in the AI era. Harari says that when big data algorithms understand desires better than humans do, collaborative rationality will become the final salvation. Kissinger, in his last book, writes about the great power competition in the age of artificial intelligence. The underlying code of ethical constraints must be embedded. True great power competition is not about boasting how good the system sounds. It's about whether the system can solve the real problems of ordinary people. History does not reward the strongest nations. It favors civilizations that can self-repair.